Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about who's going to be the successor to Bob Iger at Disney, and a lot of people vying for that potential position. Some pros, some cons to everybody. Well, as part of that entire conversation, a massive report came out from Hollywood Reporter, and it detailed kind of an inside look. That's where we got some of the news yesterday about Josh D'Amaro, about Dana Waldron, about some of the things that might be happening and who could potentially be the next Disney CEO. So this is inside Hollywood's succession wars, and this is not just about Disney necessarily. It's about a lot of different things in Hollywood, but of course, because it is talking about Disney, it is talking about who's going to take over next. All the way down in this article here, we get a little bit of talk about Lucasfilm and Star Wars, and it has a lot to do with bringing in outside people would be admitting failure, whereas promoting from within looks like you're successful, even if you fucking aren't. So I do want to get into this. Barry Diller concurs, hiring from the outside of the CEO level is an admission of failure. Ideally, you bring someone in early in their career. They marinate your expertise, gain experience, and succeed whoever's senior. That's by far the better process. Bringing in a CEO who you don't know, and I don't care how many hours you interview someone you don't know him, is a bad dice throw and rarely works. Lucasfilm seems likely to follow that path in replacing Kathleen Kennedy. Despite speculation about outside candidates, including former 20th Century head Emma Watts, insiders say the company seems most likely to promote from within. The current thinking is a scenario where Chief Creative Officer Dave Filoni and production Carrie Beck, both Lucasfilm vets, take co-head roles. Even as an arm of Disney, Lucasfilm remains in many ways a family business. And as a George Lucas protege, Filoni has long been considered a golden boy. I do think that is the way people felt about Dave Filoni in 2018, 2019. Not the way I ever felt about him. I always thought he's been a hack. But I do agree that 5-6 years ago, there were a lot of people spouting those same exact lines. Unfortunately, Dave Filoni in that time frame, people have now gotten to look at everything he's put out when he's been put in charge, when he's been put in control, when he got everything he asked for. And quite frankly, it's embarrassingly bad and pathetic, the stuff that's been churned out by Disney Star Wars. And Carrie Beck is basically right alongside Dave Filoni for everything, whether it's, I think, Rebels. She was a producer on that, whether it's all of the fucking Mandoverse stuff that Dave Filoni's involved in. She is producing right alongside with all of that. So this is the tag team that gave you Mando season 3. This is the tag team that gave you Ahsoka. That's who these people are. And if the same people who have participated willingly in the destruction and evisceration of Star Wars to put Star Wars where it's at today, if you make these people, if you just promote them and say, hey, what you're doing, just do it even harder, what the fuck is the point? What the fuck is the point? At least it's how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, the point is, it's his ego just wants to recreate Star Wars of what it was and make it his own vision that not too many people care for. I do see a lot of people online, like, I guess the Disney Star Wars Andor fandom really hate this idea. I think they would like to see more of Andor style stories, I guess, or the way that was written and directed, than Filoni style, which was like, what are we looking at? Ahsoka. Of course, he was kind of in charge. And then I don't know if there's any truth.
The Ahsoka series is one of the dumbest things that's ever been put into live action, especially when you consider how seriously they're pretending like they're taking it, and it is, and them trying to write this genius level intellect with Thrawn. But the problem is, you're writing it from the mind of a fucking 5th grader, basically, and it comes out retarded. That's what it was every step of the way with Ahsoka. And that's what you'll get more of.
I mean, even like everything from the direction, being a director, he's not a very good director, even though people tried to help him with that. The action sequence, I mean, the lightsaber battles, let's be honest, the lightsaber battles were better in the Acolyte than they were in Ahsoka. They just were.
I don't disagree. I do think you can point and pick apart some like really stupid shit that they did with it, but
Of course.
in general, you're 1,000% right. It's probably like the thing the Acolyte did better than any of the other Disney Star Wars shows out
Correct.
there was, and I'm not saying it's prequel level or
No,
anything
not
like
even
that,
close.
but it's
Like,
better
we're
than
talking Disney Star Wars and then George Lucas over here. It's a completely different level. But yeah, like, so if he's going to be in the driver's seat and that's the type of content that they're going to constantly push out, you're right. What is the point? It's just they're not going to sell any toys, which was one of the heartbeats of the Star Wars franchise back when George was running it. You're not going to sell anything extra. It's just going to be like CW programming from here on out. I don't know how much he has in the Mando movie that's coming out. I don't know, but I'm assuming in his position he had to.
That's him and Jon Favreau.
Right.
Like that's who's doing it. It's him and Jon Favreau.
Right. So I mean, what I'm saying is, I don't know if John let him direct like a bunch of stuff or however that works, but it's we'll see how that goes. Apparently, in the leaked trailer of Mando, which they haven't released publicly yet, but if you're at Celebration, you saw it. I think I sent it to you, or I tweeted it out or something before they took it down. They just recreated Mando in a hallway scene. They're like, he gets a hallway scene like Darth Maul did and Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. It's like, that's the thing now with Star Wars. To solidify you as a character, you got to have that ultimate hallway scene. Darth Maul's hallway scene was in Clone Wars, apparently. That's what they were comparing. Then Luke Skywalker and Mando Season 2, Darth Vader and Rogue One. So it's like, he gets we finally give Mando the hallway scene he deserves. Like, that's all I was saying. Like, when that, I guess it wasn't a leak to the public trailer. That's what everybody was cheering for, I guess, and they were happy about that he gets a hallway scene. Anyway, it's that again. That's just like, there's no point even covering this anymore, because like, if this is the direction that they're going, then they're going in a horrible direction. And did you see those reports where, and I don't know if there's any truth to it, that Dave Filoni was upset with Tony Gilroy and like Andor, like he didn't really, but they just had to like let it go because he already had a contract, that there was like friction between the vision of Dave Filoni's Star Wars and the Andor series didn't really fit in his overall vision for Star Wars. There was just weird articles floating around about that. I don't know if there was any if there was any truth to it whatsoever, but
so I'm always highly skeptical of some of that stuff that's out there, because I think people are incentivized to make it up to like continue to push their like fake channel rumor bullshit, whatever. But I do think that it couldn't have been easy for Dave Filoni to sit there and see the way that it's received by some people and the way some people talk about it, and realize that Dave Filoni's, and I certainly think there's a lot of problems in Andor and faults with Andor, and I've talked about it to death more times than I wish to count. However, it's much more competent than anything Dave Filoni's done, and like the Acolyte and the Kenobi series. It's much more competent than that. And the hard pill that some people have to swallow is that Dave Filoni's entries in the Star Wars universe have more in common with the Acolyte than people actually wish to admit. And I fully guarantee you, if Dave Filoni's name, even though he signed off on everything that happened in the Acolyte, he was part of the discussions, he was giving feedback, he was making suggestions, he was telling them things to do, right? Even though he was highly involved with the Acolyte, if his name had been on there instead of Leslie Headland's, I guarantee you about half of the people that are shitting on it when it got popular to do so, they would have been praising the fuck out of it if there was quite literally no difference in the quality, just because they have to have what Filoni does be successful or be viewed as successful. It's very funny. Like it's very funny. But I
wouldn't be surprised if this is what's been going on already, and Kathleen Kennedy is just going around accepting awards at this point. You know, she's accepted a couple of awards already, lifetime achievement awards that no one really covers, or, you know, she starts off all her speeches with "fade in."
Bro, the great part is actually really funny. The knock against him is he might be too steeped in Star Wars lore and risk steering the show in a dense mythology that loses a broader audience. The problem isn't that he might know too much about Star Wars. It's the choices he decides to make, regardless of how much he knows or not. That's the fucking problem. And then listen to this quote. He's not the Andor guy. He's the Ahsoka guy.
Yeah.
Meant as a dig against Filoni. So
that's what
when
I'm
you
saying.
talk about the Gilroy friction, I don't know how much I buy into some of the other stuff that people suddenly have behind the scenes. Bullshit, right? Whatever that is. However, it can't be easy to hear people in the industry talk about you that way when it comes to this shit.
No,
Beck,
100%.
who joined the company in 2012, knows the ins and outs, but neither she nor Filoni has much film experience, which can be mitigated by Kennedy's continued presence as a producer on certain Star Wars projects, ensuring quality control in the short term.
Quality control?
Like, what? Yeah, what kind of quality control has she had so far? So yeah,
that's an excellent question.
It's going to be more of the same for this bullshit.
No, absolutely. And it's just like it's just going to be Dave Filoni's world, like what he wanted. So we'll probably see more Ahsoka. She might be the chosen one now when it's all said and done after they put all that stuff together. And whatever he wants, like whatever, it seems like that's just the route he wants to go. It wouldn't surprise me. It honestly wouldn't surprise me whatsoever is if they actually do make a Rey Skywalker film. It wouldn't surprise me if Ahsoka gets sucked into like the time portal thing that he created and ends up fighting side by side with Rey, just to keep her alive.
Do you remember? This was 2019 around Christmas, right after Rise of Skywalker released. And if you remember in Rise of Skywalker at the end with all those voices come and like, Rey.
Yeah, you're the one.
Do it. Yeah. Ahsoka was one of those voices.
Yeah.
Right. All those other people are dead. And they're talking to her. Dave Filoni came out with this like basically big passive aggressive fucking post about, and he is always, Dave Filoni is such a fucking hack, dude. He views Ahsoka like he views Gandalf, right?
Yeah.
And then Ahsoka the Gray, Ahsoka the White, the fucking staff she has. He's a kindergartner. That's basically what he is, but he thinks he's a fucking philosopher. And he did this little drawing where it was like Gandalf sitting there and Ahsoka, and he's like, Gandalf says to Ahsoka, some people thought I was dead too.
Yeah.
Like as a pushback to be like, no, she's not dead. I'll never let her die. Even though you heard her voice with all those other dead people in Rise of Skywalker, I will not let her die and I'll keep her alive.
I'm telling you, that's it. It's all going to be, once he gets the final control over that kind of stuff, and I guess Disney will just give them a budget to do what they got to do, then off we go. I think if the Mandalorian movie does terrible, like really poor, it makes me wonder if they'll just stop making movies altogether and just focus on Disney Plus like they've been doing, and that'll be the end of it. I just think I just feel like that's just where they'll be until leadership has changed. Like they don't know how to make the block. Like does that even sound like a blockbuster title? Mando and Grogu.
The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not even like a major, like that's not even creative title. It's like, come watch The Mandalorian and Grogu. Adventures are for Saturday morning cartoons.
What would you call it?
I would call it The Mandalorian Season 4 and put it on Disney Plus. That's what I would call it. I would just continue and finish the story and move on and be done with it.
I would
apparently
call it,
they only wrote that thing for like 2 seasons and then you could tell it just got dragged out. So because of its popularity,
I would call it Star Wars Death Rattle. I think that's what I would call it. I think that's a good name for that movie. I'm genuinely very curious and interested to see how it performs when it does come out at the box office next year. Because it's been a long time since we had a Star Wars movie in theaters. At one point, when Disney launched the streaming service, people viewed The Mandalorian in a positive way, even though I think it get way too much hype. And I think time has not been kind to Mandalorian, specifically season 2. Because like, let's just be honest, season 3 was abysmal. Season 2 is basically season 3 without the cameos from the people that make you scream and shout when they jangle the keys at you. It's the same level of writing. It's the same stupid shit.
No,
And
Mando
none of
was
it
like
mattered.
a co-host, like to every episode. So that's what season 2 was.
In a period of like a week and a half traveling across the galaxy, Mandalorian met Bo-Katan, Boba Fett, Ahsoka Tano, where we got a Thrawn name drop. That was like a cameo within a cameo for that episode.
We got the name of Baby Yoda.
Luke fucking Skywalker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was a fucking cameo fest.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I don't think it's going to, again, I'm with you. I don't think it's going to perform that well simply because the peak of Baby Yoda, I think, has moved. You know, I don't think it's as popular as it once was back
The
in.
gimmick is over.
Yeah. So, and I don't know how long, I don't know. I just think it's gone. They pushed it too far.
I can't wait for Kathleen to take over fucking whoever owns Transformers. Right as Jay rebrands his channel, Kathleen Kennedy.
At that point, I'm just hitting the delete button. I'm not even going to do a goodbye video. I'm leaving this channel forever. I don't care about that stuff. I'm just going to like, one day people are like, Jay, I've been looking for your channel. Wonder what happened. Yeah, I'm not there anymore. Go to History of Pirates. A lot more fun over there.